everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be using Django and Meta's Llama 3 model to build an application tracking system. Nowadays, most human resource departments use application tracking systems to automate the process of resume filtering in the initial stages of recruitment, considering they receive tons of applications, and using human labor to filter out resumes can be time-consuming and tedious. So in this project, we'll be building a Django web application where an HR can post for a job vacancy. Applicants can view available job vacancies from the careers page and send in their applications. And once the recruitment window is over, the HR can go ahead and use artificial intelligence to shortlist candidates and proceed with the recruitment process. So before we begin, I would like to give you a quick demo so that you can have a bird's eye view of what we'll be building. The web application is running at localhost port 8000, then / human resource. So we have 3 job vacancies, and then these are some of the jobs that I was testing out during my development process. For this job, we have one shortlisted candidate. If you click on it, you can see he has a score of 85, and you also have a summary of his CV and what he has done. And then we also have the careers page. So this one is 127.2.2.1, then / careers. Here we have 2 job vacancies. As you can see, these are the ones that are active, the data scientist position and the dealer operations positions. The Java developer position is expired, and if I change this to active and update and refresh here, you see the Java position appear in the careers page. We're going to create a new job and use AI to filter out the resumes that will be submitted by applicants. So this is what you're going to use in the HR page to create a new job posting. The job title is a product manager. The department is maybe research and development. The salary can be 100K, and the location maybe it's Cape Town. Introduction, responsibilities and qualifications. So you're going to get these ones from here. So we have a job for a product manager. This is the department, salary, location, introduction, brief posting, description, responsibilities and qualifications. So once that is done, you can click on add, and at the bottom you see you have a new job vacancy from the HR page. And from the careers page, if I refresh, we have a new job vacancy for the product manager. If I click on view job, we get a job detail view. For the product manager, we see the introduction, description, responsibilities and qualifications. And we can also apply from here. I'm going to demonstrate using 2 CVs to test out the functionality. So we have a CV for John. John is a full stack developer, and we also have a CV for Alfred, who is a product manager. So I'm going to use these 2 CVs to apply for the position of a product manager. So the first one is John, and the last name is the email. The gender, you can change this to male or female. The location is maybe California, and we're going to choose John's CV. And then click on apply. So we see success, you have received your applications, and then you can return to the careers page. And then I'm also going to send in another application using a CV for a product manager, and I'll use Alfred's CV. Click on open and then apply. If you go back to the HR page and refresh, at the bottom you have 2 applicants and 0 shortlisted candidates. So I'm going to change this to expired and update. We update that and refresh here. The job vacancy for a product manager disappears. From that point, you can go ahead and shortlist our candidates. Click on shortlist and then click on shortlist candidates. When I click on shortlist, it is going to go through all the CVs that have been sent in for this job vacancy, and it is going to create a shortlist for applicants who have been rated 80 plus for this particular job vacancy. We get only one shortlisted candidate, who is Alfred and is a product manager. The other guy was John, who is a full stack developer. And you can also view his CV from here, and it is the same as this one. So that is what we'll be building, and finally this is a beginner friendly tutorial. All you need is a basic level understanding of how Python works. I'll also upload a copy of the source code in my GitHub. You can access it from the description section. So let's get started. We're going to begin by installing the basic project dependencies. I have created a directory called AIHR, and inside I have a virtual environment. In our terminal, we're going to install the first dependency. Now notice that I have my virtual environment activated. We'll install Django. So pip install Django. Now you might have noticed that I have my project directory open in PyCharm and VS Code. I'll be using PyCharm to write the backend code, and I'll use VS Code to write the frontend functionality. I usually prefer to separate frontend and backend tasks for full stack projects. Anyways, that's just an issue of preference. You can use an IDE or editor of your choice. After Django is installed, you're going to start a Django project. To start a Django project, use Django-admin start project, then the project name. Ours will be called AI Human Resource. On the left, in AIHR, you see a new directory has been created called AI Human Resource, and inside AI Human Resource, you have a package called AI Human Resource. You can think of this as the main Django application. The next thing is you're going to navigate into AI Human Resource and use manage.py to create a Django app. So we first move into AI Human Resource, and then inside here we are going to use manage.py to create a Django app. You can think of manage.py as an entry point to various Django commands. For example, here if we type python manage.py help, we get a list of various commands that you can execute using manage.py. For our case, we need to create a Django application. You can think of a Django app like a web template that helps organize various features within a Django project. For example, if you're working on a high-end project like an hospital management system, you can have various Django apps within that project. So in that case, the project could be hospital management system, and then inside hospital management systems, you have various apps. The first one could be authentication that handles functionalities related to access control. You could have another one for finance that handles functionality related to finances of the company. You can have another one for marketing and so on. So to create a Django app, use python manage.py start app and then the name of the app. So our app will be called Human Resource. So on the left, you see a new Django application has been created and it's called Human Resource. So the next thing is we need to tell Django that we have created a custom Django application. So in AI Human Resource, in settings.py, in installed apps, we are going to add human resource. So after that, inside human resource, you're going to create a new file called urls.py. we create a new Python file called urls.py, and urls.py in human resource is similar to the urls.py in our main Django application. So we are going to copy everything here, and then we'll paste here, but we are going to get rid of this. So this one will be an empty list for now. And then after that, we need to include the urls.py file in human resource in the main urls.py file in AI human resource. We're going to use path, and then we're going to include human resource.urls. So we need to import include. Up to this point, you have created a Django project called AI human resource. And then inside AI human resource, we have one Django application called human resource. After that, we are going to go to human resource and create our first view in views.py file. Our view will be called home, and then we'll pass in requests. This one is going to return HTTP response. Right, this is the home page, and we need to import HTTP response. So after creating our view, we need to include it in the urls.py file for our application. In human resource.urls, we are first going to import views, and then here we are going to create a path. Then this one will be views.home, and the name for this one will be home. And we can create two additional views. So in views.py, we create another one called about us, and you can also create another one for services. We are going to include this in urls.py. So after home, we create another path for about us. So this one will be about and then slash. This one will go to views dot about, and then the name for this one will be about. And we're also going to link the services view. So at this point, we can go ahead and test out these views by starting our server. In our terminal, we're going to use python manage.py run server. By default, this one is going to start the server at localhost port 8000. So if you click on this link, you see you get this, the home page. We can access the about us page by going to /about, and then you get this, the about us page. You can also access the services page by going to /services, and then you see this, the services page. And then one more thing before you move on, in our main urls.py file, you can see we don't have a URL prefix for human resource.urls. If we change this one to something like human-resource, to access any URL inside human resource.urls, you'd have to go to 127.0.0.1 and then port 8000/human resource, and then one of the URLs inside human resource. So this one is going to return the home page. And then if you add something like services, this one is going to return the services page. Or if we do about, this one is going to return the about us page. So let me show you that quickly. Human-resource. You see, get this is the home page. If you want the about us page, you do about, and you get get this the about us page. For us, we need to keep this simple, so I'm going to remove that and leave it that way. Now, of course, for this project, you're not going to be returning HTTP responses. You're going to be building something that is more realistic. And for this project, we'll be using Bootstrap to style up our web pages. So in your browser, type purple bootstrap admin template free download, and then you'll click on the first link. I'm going to provide a link for this template in the description so you can access it from there. When you scroll, you see some samples of this template. You have the pages, you have the forms, you have basic elements, and you also have a live preview. These are some of the icons, the charts, and so on. So you can go ahead and customize this according to your project needs. So back on the main page, to download this, you're going to click on the free download button. Once you have downloaded the template, you'll get a folder like this one, and inside you have 2 directories and 2 files. In source, you have assets, docs, gulp tasks, pages, partials, index file, and a gulp file. So what you're interested in at this point is the asset files. So back in PyCharm, you're going to create a new directory in AI human resource and call it static. So what you need to do is you're going to copy the assets directory, which are the CSS, fonts, images, JS, SCSS, and vendors, and paste it in our static directory in our project. Okay, once you have all the files copied, you can see inside you have assets, and then CSS, fonts, images, JS, SCSS, and vendor. So this is the directory structure for our static folder. And before we move ahead, we need to tell Django how to access our static files. So in settings.py, after static URL, we need to add a static files dir. So this one will be equals to a list of os.path join this dir, and then we provide static. We also need a static root. So our static underscore root will be equals to os.path.join, and then base dir static files, and then static. Now make sure you have imported OS at the top. And then after that, we need to add a URL for the static files, which will define how our static files will be accessed. So in our main urls.py file, we are first going to import settings. So from Django.conf import settings, and then you also need to import statics. So from Django.conf.static, we'll import static. So once you have done that, you need to concatenate the static files URL to the main URLs pattern to this list. So use an addition sign and then use static settings dot static underscore URL, and then our document root will be equals to settings dot static underscore root. So with that, you have our static files set up and ready for use. After that, the next thing is we need to design the templates, which will be the HTML files. So in human resource, I'm going to create a new directory called templates, and inside templates, we'll have 2 more directories. The first one will be called app, and the second one will be called partials. So the partials directory is going to contain our partials file, our partials template, like the footer, sidebar, and the navbar. And then the app directory is going to contain the main template files. So in partials, you're going to create a new HTML file called _footer, and you also need another one for the sidebar, so _sidebar, and the last one for the navbar. For now, you can delete everything inside these files. So we are going to open these files in VS Code so that we can design them. So in VS Code, human resource, templates, partials, we have these three files: footer, navbar, and sidebar. Back to our downloaded templates. Inside we have source, and then we also have some directories, and at the bottom you have partials. So inside partials, you have three files. You have a footer, navbar, and sidebar. So I'm going to open this with VS Code, and then what you're going to do is we'll copy everything in these files and paste them in our project. So we need to make some modifications to these files, and we are going to begin with the footer. So at the top, we need a load static tag. So load static, this one is going to load our static files. And then here we are going to delete this part up to this point, and then you'll use AI human resource, and then you're going to use some JavaScript to get the date. So this JavaScript code is going to display the year. It will be AI human resource, and then the copyright sign, and then the year, for example 2023 or 2024 or 2025, and so on. So this part makes the year dynamic. The next thing is you're going to edit the navbar and make some modifications. So at the top, you're going to use a load static tag. Now, because we'll be using a Django server, we need to update all these relative paths in a way that Django can access them. So we need to update all these to point to our static directory in our project. So after making your updates, your file should look like this. You have static assets, images, logo, and then you have this one updated. We also have this one, and so on. So make sure you have all the relative paths updated in a way that Django can access them. Otherwise, you'll not be able to view the static files. And then the sidebar, you're also going to repeat the same process. After updating your sidebar file, it should look like this. You should have all the relative paths updated. So once you've done that, the next thing is you're going to create an index file in our app directory here. So under app, we have index.html. Back in our downloaded template, we have this file called index.html. We are going to open this with VS Code. Then you're going to copy everything here into our project index file. Our index.html file is going to be our main template. So all the templates that we are going to create in the app directory will inherit from index.html and then provide their own definition of the body. In this file, we're also going to make some modifications similar to the ones that we made in the other files. So here we are going to load static. We also need to provide a title. We need this one to be dynamic, so we'll use block title. We'll use a separator and then type AI HR. So what this part is going to do is it's going to make the title dynamic. So for example, if we inherit this, or rather if we extend this index.html from the dashboard and provide a definition for the title, it's going to be something like dashboard and then a separator AI HR. If we inherit this from the shortlist template, it's going to be shortlist, then separator AI HR, and so on. We also need to update these relative paths to point to our static directory. After the update for this section, the file should look like this. And then additionally, we need some two files that we are going to be using for select box. Under this section, I'll put these two files. In the body, you're also going to make some edits. So this one is going to be our final index.html template. As you can see, I've made some significant updates. So the next thing is you're going to test out this index.html template and see how it looks like. In PyCharm, under views, we can delete these ones. And in URLs, you can also delete these ones. So in views, instead of returning HTTP response, you're going to return our index template. So render request, and then you're going to pass in our index.html. Index.html is in app/index.html. We are going to open this in our browser, and you see you get the index.html template. All the other templates that are going to extend from index.html will provide their own definition for this section. Up to this point, you have set up our static files and you have created our base index.html file. Next thing is we are going to design the HR dashboard template where the HR can view available job posting and also add new job postings. In PyCharm, in our app directory, you are going to create a new HTML file called hr_dashboard. And then you can delete this and close. So in VS Code, you're going to open hr_dashboard.html. hr_dashboard.html extends index.html. At the top, use extends and then app/index.html. And then after that, you're going to load static, and then you provide the title for this page. Inside this one, it will be called HR, or you can just use dashboard with end block title. After that, we'll provide the body definition, block body, and then we end the block. This block is this one. So whatever we define inside this block is going to be put in between these two tags. We're going to begin with the page header. So you can go ahead and check how this one looks like. In PyCharm, instead of returning index.html, we are going to return hr_dashboard. In our browser, if we refresh, you see we have 4 vacancies and we have a button to add a new job. I think we will not need this, so we can remove this one. After this, you're going to add another div here that will display the available jobs. So in VS Code, after page header, we are going to create another div. So this one will be row. You can check how this one looks like. So here, if we refresh, and I think this one should be black in color. In VS Code, we should move this one to here. And now if we refresh, we see you have the right text color. After this, you are going to create another row to display some metrics. So in VS Code, inside the card body, we create another row. So now if we go back to the browser and refresh, you see you have a button for shortlisted candidates. We are going to duplicate this one for in progression and the other fields. Now if we refresh, we need them to be in an horizontal format. So in VS Code, I think we overlooked something here. This one should be an hyphen. You also need an hyphen here and an hyphen there and an hyphen there. So now if we refresh, they are ordered horizontally. After this, the next thing is we need a row to display whether the job is active or not, the date it was posted, the department, the number of applicants, the job ID, and so on. So back in VS Code, after this div, we're going to create another row. So now if we go back to our browser and refresh, you see you have these details. Up to this point, the data displayed here is static and we need to make it dynamic. To do that, we are going to create a database where the HR can create new job vacancies. And then once they are saved, we can query the database and display them here in the HR dashboard. So to create new job vacancies, the HR is going to be clicking on this button and then he's taken to a page where he can key in the details for the job. In PyCharm, you are going to create a new view for a new job. For the new job, you're going to be using a class-based view. So class new job, and then this one extends the view. We undo the get requests and we return the template new underscore job HTML. We need to create this one in our app. In VS Code, you're going to design this template. It's called new job. Of course, this one extends the index.html. So inside the body, you are going to define the functionality to create a new job. First, we begin with the breadcrumb that will be displayed at the top. And then you're going to create a row. The next thing is in PyCharm, you're going to link this view in our urls.py file. In human resource.urls, you're going to create another path. This one will be called new-job and it will point to views.newjob as view, and then the name for this one is new job. We are going to link this in the template. In VS Code under HR dashboard here, we'll use this template tag for the URL. So URL new job refers to the name of this view. Now, if we go back to our browser and refresh, click on new job, we get this. But I think we need some styling here. So back in VS Code, you're going to change this from form control to form group. And you're also going to do the same for this one. And finally, you'll also update this one. So now if we go to our browser and refresh, the fields look better. For the breadcrumb, when we click on this human resource, we should be able to be redirected back to the HR dashboard. So in VS Code, we're going to move to the top and instead of hash, we're going to put a /. Now if we refresh, click on human resource, we are redirected back to the HR dashboard. The next thing is we need to undo post requests so that we can fetch the data that is keyed in these fields. To do that, you're going to go back to PyCharm in views.py. You're going to create another function for post requests. And then the first field that you're going to get is the job title. So job underscore title will be equals to request, which is this one, dot posts. Then we want to get the job title. Now job title is the name of the field in VS Code. If we take a look at the job title, you can see the name is job title. After job title, we fetch the department, and we also need the salary. After salary, we fetch the location, the introduction, the description, responsibilities, and then finally we need the qualifications. For now, we can return render requests, and then we are going to pass in app/new_job.html. So I have added a few print statements here to help us in checking whether we are going to collect the data that will be sent in our form. So back in our browser, we are going to refresh and add some testing data. So this one can be data scientist. We choose finance. Salary can be any value. London. Test. Intro. This one will be test. Description. And responsibilities can be test responsibilities. Test qualifications. And click on add. In our terminal, let's check if we have the values. Yeah, so we have the job title, department, salary, location, intro, description, responsibilities, and qualifications. So once we have captured these details, we need to validate them before we go ahead and add them in our database that we are going to create. So the first thing is we need to validate the job title. So if job title, otherwise we are going to flash a messages.warning. Here we pass in requests and the message. So we need to import messages from Django.contrib import messages. If we have a job title, we'll check the department. So if department, otherwise we're going to tell this guy to add a department. If we have the department, we check the salary. So salary is not equal to an empty string, and it is an integer which is greater than 0. Otherwise we're going to tell them to enter a valid salary. If the salary is an integer greater than 0 and it is not an empty string, we check the location. And if location, we check the introduction. If we have an introduction, we are going to check the description. If we have a description, we are going to check for the responsibilities. So if responsibilities, if we have responsibilities, we are finally going to check for qualifications. So at this point, if the qualifications are there, we are going to add this job into our database. So add job to database, and then we can do messages.success. We pass in the requests, and then we tell them that job added successfully. So with this, we can test out this functionality. So here we are going to create a database. So in our browser, you can try testing out these functionalities. The job will be data scientist, marketing, salary. You can put in some random figures, location, tests, and then we leave the responsibilities. We put this one to be test, and then see enter a valid location. Okay, it seems our location is not being captured. So in VS Code, the location, the name should be location. So we are going to test this out again. The department is finance, salary is some random figures. We change the location, then this one will be test, we leave this one and test. Enter responsibilities. Yeah, I think this one is now working. So we are going to enter valid credentials for all of them, qualifications, and then add job. So we see get the job added successfully message, and here I think we get all the details. So the next thing is we are going to create a database to save our jobs. In models.py under human resource, you're going to create our first model for the job. So class job, this one extends models.model, and inside here we are going to provide some fields. So the first one is job underscore title. This one is equal to models.character field. The max length is 100 characters, and we'll set null to false. The next field is the department, and then this one is equals to models.character field. Max length is 50 characters, and then for this one we need some choices. Equals to departments. We need to define departments. So at the top we are going to create a tuple. So the first one will be HR. The value for this one is human resource. After HR, we need the information technology department. So this one is another tuple. And lastly, we need the research and development department. So R&D. Our next field will be the salary field. So salary. And the next one is location. The choices, locations. So we need to create a tuple for locations. So our locations will be equals to, so I have added these other locations. We have London, San Francisco, and Cape Town. After location, we need the introduction field. This one is a character field. So models.character field, the max length is 400 characters. The next field is responsibilities. And then finally we have qualifications. Finally, we need two additional fields. The first one is active, and this one will be a Boolean field that will determine whether the application window for the job is open or closed. So is underscore active is going to be a Boolean field. So models.Boolean field, and set default true. So whenever an HR creates a job posting, the isActive field defaults to true, and therefore that will mean that the job is currently open for recruitment. And then the last field will be date posted. This one is going to be the date that the HR creates the new job posting. Auto now add defaults the value of the date posted to be the time in which the job is created. After that, we need to define a string function. This one is going to return self.job title. So at this point, I think we have captured all the fields required to create a job. So in our terminal, I'm going to stop the server so that we can make migrations and create this new table for our job. So we'll begin by typing python manage.py, make migrations, then python manage.py. We can restart our server. So python manage.py run server, and back in views we are going to import our created model. From .models we are going to import job, and then here we are going to create a new job. Our new underscore job will be equals to job.objects.create. Then you're going to pass in the fields. The first one is job title will be equals to job title. Finally, qualifications will be equals to qualifications. After that, you're going to save this new job. So new job.save, and we can flash messages.success, job added successfully. So here you can put new job added successfully, and we're going to redirect to the HR dashboard. The name for the HR dashboard is home. So home. Then at the top we need to import redirect. That's it for creating a new job. I think we can go ahead and test this to see if it works. So we refresh and we're going to create a new job. The job title is product manager. Department is, this one can be research and development, salary. And then we are going to click on add job. So add job, you see a new job has been added successfully and we are redirected to the HR dashboard. So the next thing is you're going to make the details displayed in the dashboard dynamic. So in views.py, in our home view, we're going to query all the jobs. Our jobs will be equals to job.objects.all, and then our job underscore data will be equals to an empty dictionary for now. We're going to loop over the jobs and create a dictionary of job data, where the key will be the job ID and the values will be the details for that particular job. So for J, jobs, the lower bound will be equals to j.salary. Then we are going to multiply this by 0.9. The lower bound will be displayed here, and then this part will be the upper bound. So the upper bound will be equals to j.salary, and then this one you are going to multiply by 1.1. The date posted will be equals to date time dot today dot date, and then we're going to subtract j dot date underscore posted, and then we need the days. Inside the for loop, you're going to create the job data dictionary. The ID for this one is job.id, and the value will be another dictionary. So the job is J, the lower bound will be lower bound, and upper bound will be upper bound. Lastly, posted. So here in return render request app slash hr underscore dashboard dot html, we're going to add another dictionary, and this one will be called job underscore data, and the value for this is job data. This is going to allow us to pass this data into our HTML template. So back in VS Code under hr underscore dashboard dot html, we need to make some updates. So after this div, we need an if block, and we also need to end this if after the row. If we have job data, we are going to loop over the job data, and otherwise if we don't have job data, we should display something. Before end if, we're going to put an else block. So else, we are going to display a div. If we have some job data, we are going to loop over it and display it in a dynamic form. And then we need to end this for loop just before the else block. So end for. Inside here, we are going to display the data in a dynamic form. This is going to be replaced by underscore title, and the location is also going to be replaced. The lower bound. Now notice for these variables I'm using double curly brackets. And then at the bottom you're going to make some updates. So this is the button for whether the job is active or not. So when the job is active, you're going to display it's active. Otherwise, you're going to display that it is expired. So we need an if block here. And then for the date in which the job was posted, we also need an if block. The reference ID, this one refers to the ID for the job. So instead of this static figure, and the department is going to be dynamic as well. Finally, we are also going to make these ones dynamic in a few moments. So if we go back in our browser and refresh, I think we have a typo here. So in our source code, this one should be date posted. And then if we refresh, we see that the text is now dynamic, but we need to update this part, that is the job title. So if we refresh, we see it's been formatted well. And this value should also be dynamic. So back in PyCharm, you're going to add a field for total underscore jobs, and the value for this one will be job objects dot all. We are going to count all the objects. VS Code, under the vacancies part, we are going to change this to be total jobs. Now if we refresh, we get a dynamic value for the vacancies. So I'm going to create one more job. So these are the job details for a front-end engineer, and I'll click on add job, and we are redirected to the HR dashboard page. But I think we should be having some margin at this point. Back in VS Code, in the row, we're going to add some styling. We need a margin top of around 12 pixels. So now if we go back and refresh, we get a margin in between these two rows. The next thing is we need to create a template where we can be able to edit the job details, like the salaries, the location, the departments, and so on, and whether the job is currently open for recruitment or it has been closed. So to do that, you're going to use this little button here. So back in PyCharm, you're going to create a view that will allow us to edit jobs. So this one will be a class-based view, and this one extends view for get requests, and here we need to get the job that you're going to edit. So our job will be equals to, and then we need the job whose ID is equals to job underscore ID. So this parameter will be passed to this function whenever we call it, and then we are going to return render requests, and we return the template edit underscore job dot html, and we also need to return locus. So locus is going to return the value of the job. Before we move ahead to create the edit job.html template, we are going to link this in the urls.py file. So in human resource.urls, we're going to create a new path, and this one will be called edit-job. And then after edit-job, we are going to pass the job ID, which is an integer. This one is going to point to views new job.sview, and the name for this one is edit job. So the next thing is you're going to design the edit job template. So we copy that, and in apps, you're going to create a new HTML file called edit job. So back in VS Code, you're going to open edit job.html. So edit job.html is going to be similar to the new job.html template. So you're going to copy everything here and paste it here, but this section will be edit job. And then before the job title, we need radio buttons that will help us in updating the job recruitment status. So you're going to create radio buttons. So this one is for active and the other one is for expired. So at this point, I think we are done with designing the edit job template. So the next thing is we need to link this button to our edit job template. In VS Code, under HR dashboard, at the bottom you have active and expired. So you're going to update these ones. This is a URL, and this points to edit-job, and you also need to pass in the job ID. And you're also going to do a similar thing for the other one. So with that, we can go back to our browser and refresh. Click on this unexpected keyword argument job ID. So in PyCharm, I think we have an oversight. This one should be edit job. So now if we go back and refresh and click on active, you see we are redirected to edit job, and we also get the job ID 1. If we go back to the dashboard, click on job 2, see edit job, and we get job 2. But we need to update this one to edit job. So in VS Code, under edit job, so this one should be edit job, and this one should be edit job. If we refresh, you see we get edit job. And then one more thing, we should populate these fields with the current values for this particular job. So in VS Code, under edit job.html, you're going to change the value for job title to be job_title. Now the reason as to why you're able to access job from here is because back in PyCharm, under our view, we passed our local variables inside this function. So when you use locals here, we are able to access all the variables inside our function. And then for the salary, the value is going to be job.salary, and location, introduction. So if we refresh here, you see the values are not populated. I think we need to make some updates in our edit job view. So our job is equals to job.objects.filter. Filter returns a query set, so we are going to get the item at index 0. So now if we go back and refresh, we see our values are populated well. We also need to populate the values for the location and the department. So the values that I put here are the same values that are here. And we're also going to do that for the locations. So back in our browser, if we refresh, you see the department for this one has been populated well, and the location is also populated well. After that, we need to undo post request so that you can capture the details for the updated fields. So back in PyCharm, we are going to create another function to undo post requests. Our job will be similar to the one in the get request. So you're just going to copy and paste that here. And the functionality for updating a job is almost similar to the one we have in the post request for creating a new job. So what you're going to do is we'll copy this functionality here, paste those details here. And additionally, we need a field for is active, and this one should be update job. Instead of creating a new job, you're going to update the existing job. Here you can use a try block. So inside our try block, you're going to update the job details. So job title will be equals to job title, and we can do job save, and we do messages success. We pass in the request and job updated successfully, and after that we can redirect to the home page, or rather the HR dashboard. And at the bottom, instead of returning new job.html, you're going to return edit_job.html. So now if we go back to the browser, refresh and try updating these fields. So this one is going to be senior product manager. The department is information. You can use human resource. You're going to put the salary to 140k. You change the location to California, and the introduction, you can leave that. The brief posting description and qualifications, you can change this to something like 9+ years of experience, and then click on edit job. You see you have job updated successfully, and you are redirected to the HR dashboard. And here you can see the values have been updated correspondingly. And one more thing, we can try updating the active field to expired. So edit job, you see you get this one is expired, posted 1 day ago. So up to this point, you have created a database. We have created a view where the HR can create new jobs. We have also added a view where the HR has the ability to edit existing jobs, and finally you have been able to make the HR dashboard page dynamic. So the next thing is we are going to design the careers page where applicants can view the available job vacancies and send in their applications. So in PyCharm, we're going to create a careers page view, and this one will be a function-based view. For this one, you're going to query the database for all the jobs. So our jobs will be equals to job.objects.filter. And then in the careers page, you need to display the jobs that are currently open for recruitment. So we set is active, is underscore active to true. And we are going to return render, pass in requests, and our template will be called app/careers.html, and we pass our local variables. In that way, by using locals here, we are able to access jobs from our careers.html template. We need to design the careers.html template, but for the careers page, you're going to use a different styling. So in our app, first you're going to create careers_index.html. So in our browser, you're going to search for a jobs card listing page, and then you're going to click on this one. I'll provide a link to this page in the description. So our careers page should look like this. So what we need to do is we are going to copy the source code for this one. We have the HTML, CSS, and there is no JavaScript. We have some resources. What you're going to do is we'll copy the resources and the CSS into our careers index.html file. So in VS Code, you have careersindex.html, and we'll begin by loading static. For the title, we need it to be dynamic, and after the title we are going to provide these links. So you copy that and paste it here. So we create a link, and this one is going to reference that one. You also copy the second one, and the next one is this one, and paste that there. And finally you are going to copy this one and paste it here. After that, you're going to add the page icon. So link, it's also similar to the one that you have in our index page. So you can just take this one and put it in our careers page. And then the next thing is we are going to add the CSS for the page. Back to the browser, we have CSS. We copy everything and put it inside the style tags. And then finally, we are going to define our body. So we have the careers index.html file defined. We are going to create the careers page. You can close that one. So we are going to create the careers.html template. So we have the careers.html template, and this one is going to extend careers index.html. And then you're also going to define the body. So back in the browser, you're going to copy the HTML source code. So copy everything here and paste in the body. For now, these details are static, so we can go ahead and check how they look like by first linking our careers page in the urls.py file. In urls.py, under human resource, you're going to create the path for the careers page. So back in our browser, we can refresh and then go to /careers, and we get these details. The next thing is you're going to make these details dynamic. So back in VS Code, you're going to delete these others. You're going to delete this one, and you'll also delete this one. If we refresh, you're left with this one card. So here you're going to delete this div. So we delete this one, and here we are going to loop over all the jobs and display them using this card. So first we check if we have jobs, and we end our if block. If you have jobs, you are going to loop over the jobs and display them. So use a for loop. Before anything, we end the for loop. So inside here, we are going to display the details for the job. You're going to begin with the job title. Here you do job.job_title, and here we display the location. So job.location, and then you're going to modify this one to be apply, and then put an anchor tag. After that, the next thing is you're going to create another div. So, and then here we need a paragraph that will display the brief posting description. So I think you're done with designing the careers.html template. We can go ahead and test it. So back in our browser, we refresh and we get this job. So the front-end engineer role. We go back to the HR dashboard. We see the other role has expired, but if we update this to active, then click on edit job, back to careers page, we get 2 job postings. The next thing is when you click on apply, we should be redirected to a job detail view where we'll see information related to this particular job, like the job title, introduction, brief posting description, responsibilities, qualifications, and so on. We need to design a job detail view for that. So back in PyCharm, in views.py, we're going to create a function-based view. This one takes in a request. It should also take in a job ID. So job underscore ID. And we need a try block. So we need the job whose job ID is equals to job underscore ID. And we return render requests app slash job underscore detail dot html, and we also pass in locals, otherwise except. So we need to design this template in app. We create a new template called job detail. So we open that, and then you can copy this because they are almost similar, and paste that here, but instead of careers, use job detail. Block body, we end the block, and here we need to check if you have a job. So inside the if block, we are going to create a div. And after the row, we go back to the careers page, and we'll copy this part and put it inside the row. Here we are going to make some modifications. So instead of 4, we put 12. So back in PyCharm, we are going to link this view in the urls.py file. So here we add a new path. This one will be called job details. So we need to pass in the job ID. Job ID is an integer. Then after that, this one is going to point to views.jobDetail page, and the name is job-detail. So in our browser, whenever we click on apply, we should be redirected to the job detail page. So back in VS Code, in careers.html file, under this section, you have this anchor tag. So here we are going to update this to be a URL. This one points to job-detail, and we provide the job ID. So job.id. In our browser, if we refresh, click on apply, you see these values, but the details are not displayed. So back in PyCharm, our job is equals to job.objects.filter, and then we pass in the job ID. So filter returns a list. We need to get the item at index 0. Now if you go back to the browser, refresh, and then click on apply, you see the details are displayed. At this point, when somebody clicks on the apply button, they should be redirected to a page where they key in their application details, like their first name, last name, email address, maybe the agenda, and of course the CV. So back in PyCharm, you're going to create a view to handle that. This one will be a class-based view, so class apply job. We handle the get request, so get self, we pass in request, and we pass in the job underscore ID that the person wants to apply. So here we try to get the job and accept. So here we are going to try and get the job. So our job will be equals to job.objects.filter, and then we want the job whose ID is equals to job underscore ID, and we want the job at index 0 because filter returns a list. After that, we are going to return render, pass in the requests and the template. So it's app/apply underscore job at HTML. And we also pass in locals. So in that way, you can access job from apply underscore job.html. So we need to design this in app, we are going to create a new HTML file called apply_job. So in VS Code, we're going to open apply job. Apply job is going to extend careers index.html. So we can copy this and paste it here, but instead of careers, we put apply job, and we can end our body. For this part, we need a form. So we are going to go to our browser and we'll search for job application form template, a free bootstrap template, and you'll click on this. I'll also provide a link to this one in the description. Our job application template is going to be something like this. So we can go ahead and copy this code, and in VS Code, we just paste it there. So here I have made some little modifications. We have an header tag to display the job title, and then you have a block to display the flashed messages. I have added a CSRF token, a label for the first name, last name, email address, and we have a radio button for the gender. We also have the location, and finally we have a field for the CV. So I think we are done with designing applyjob.html. So the next thing is you're going to link this in urls.py. So back in PyCharm, under URLs, we are going to create another path. This one will be called apply-job, and this one takes in an integer of job_id, and it points to views applyjob.asView, and the name for this one is apply-job. In VS Code, you're going to link this under jobdetail.html. We have this anchor tag, so I'm going to change this to be a URL. So URL, and this one is going to point to apply job, and we pass in the job-job.id. With that, I think we are good. We can go to the browser and check it out. So back in job detail, we refresh and then click on apply. You say get an application form. So this is an application form for senior product manager. We have the first name, last name, email address, gender, location, and we also have an option to upload the CV. The next thing is we need to handle post requests so that we can store details that are sent in from the application form. Back in PyCharm under views.py, we're going to create a function to handle post requests. So def post. So use a try block. Here for now, you're going to return render and then pass in the request, and this one will be app/apply_job.html, and we also pass in the locals. So inside the try block, you're going to get the job, and we're also going to capture the details that are sent in from the form. So we begin with the first underscore name will be equals to request.post.get first underscore name. So this is the name of the first name field in our form. If we go back to apply job under first name, you see the name of the field is first name. And finally, our CV will be equals to request.files. This time we are using files, not posts, because our CV will be a file. Then use get, and then key in the CV. So once you have captured these details, we need to save them in a database. But before we do that, we need to create the applicants table. So here we're going to create a table for applicants. So in models.py, we're going to create another table for applicants. So This one extends models.model. The first field will be the first name, so first underscore name will be equals to models.character field, and the max length is 100 characters. The next field is gender, models.character field. We have choices for this one, so choices will be genders. So we are going to create the genders choices. So at the top, genders will be equals to a tuple of tuples. Our first gender is male, and here we also put male, and our next one is female. So, and after gender we need to capture the email, so our email will be equals to models.email field, and the location will be equals to models.character field, and the choices will be locations, and CV will be equals to models.file field, and we set upload to be CVs, and then a /, and we only need PDF files for the CV, so we're going to add validators to be a list of validate_PDF. We need to define validate PDF. Validate PDF will be a function that will check whether the uploaded file is a PDF. This one takes in a value, and then inside the function you're going to raise an error if the file extension is not equal to PDF. So if not value dot name ends with, and then we provide the extension format for a PDF file, so .pdf, we are going to raise a validation error. We need to import validation error, so at the top from Django.core.exemptions we are going to import validation error. And then after the CV field, we need to keep track of the job that the applicant is applying for. So our job will be equals to models.foreign key, and then this one is going to reference our job table. So here we put job, and on delete put models.cascade, and the related underscore name will be equals to applicants. So the related name helps us in accessing the applicant table from jobs. So for example, if you have a job object like job is equals to job.objects.get, and then we get the job whose ID is equals to 1, you can do something like job.applicants. So this one is going to list all the applicants for this particular job. So the related name allows you to reference the applicant table from the job table. And then finally, we are going to create a string representation for this. So this one is going to return self.firstname. So we are done designing our applicant table. The next thing is we are going to go to the terminal and make migrations so that this table can be created. We stop the server and then use Python manage.py make migrations, and then you're going to migrate. After that, we can restart our server. So Python manage.py run server. After that, we need to specify where our media files will be uploaded. So in settings.py, after static root, you're going to create a media underscore URL, which will be equals to /media/ and we need a media root, so our media underscore root will be equals to os.path.join, provide the base dir, and the media directory will be called media. The next thing is we need to link these media files in our main urls.py file under AI human resource. Here we are going to add the media URLs to the URL patterns. So we can do that by concatenating URLs patterns to the media URLs. So use URL patterns plus and assign static and settings dot media URL, and the document root will be equals to settings dot media underscore root. So with this, we have set up our URLs for the media files. So back in views.py, we are going to save these details in the database. So we can delete this, and here we are going to add applicant to database. So at the top, from .models import job, and we also import applicant. And here, before we add the applicant to the database, we need to check if they have submitted an application for the same job before. So if not applicant dot objects dot filter, we're going to check for the email. So email, and the job is equals to job underscore ID. So in this scenario, the applicant has not submitted an application. So here we are going to add to DB. Otherwise, we tell them that they have already submitted an application for the job. So here, if they have not applied, we're going to create a new applicant. So new underscore applicant equals to applicant dot objects dot create, and provide the first name to be first name. The CV will be equals to CV, and finally the job will be equals to the job. So here you can do new applicant dot save, and we can flash messages dot success. We pass in request, and the message will be application sent. So at this point, we can go ahead and test this one. So in our browser, we are going to refresh, and we'll use one of these CVs. This is a senior product manager. I think I have a CV for a product manager. So Alfred is a product manager. We're going to use Alfred's CV to apply for this job. So the first name is Alfred. So you're going to take Alfred's CV and put it there, and then you're going to click on apply. Here we get application sent, and you have already applied for this job. Okay, so in PyCharm, here instead of flashing a message, you're going to return render and then request, and you're going to return an HTML template. So app slash application underscore successful dot HTML. We need to design application successful dot HTML. In app, you're going to create a new HTML file called application underscore successful. And for this, I'm just going to put some code here. So this is a functionality for the application successful page. So back in our browser, if we refresh, let's just send a get request, and here we are going to send in another application. So for this, we'll use a CV for a front-end engineer. We're going to use Barry's CV. So Barry is a front-end developer. We're going to take Barry's CV and click on apply. So we get the application successful page, and when you click on careers, we are redirected back to the careers page. At this point, we are done with most of the functionality to create jobs and send in applications. The next thing will be shortlisting candidates using artificial intelligence. So back in the HR dashboard, we need to make this value dynamic. Back in PyCharm, under the home view, we are going to create a variable for the total number of applicants. So our applicants will be equals to j.applicants.all.count. And then here we are going to pass in the applicant key. So applicants will be equals to applicants. And in VS Code, under hr-dashboard.html, we're going to make this value dynamic. So we delete 8 and put a dynamic variable. So this one will be data.applicants. And if you go back to our browser and refresh, you see you have 2 applicants for this job. This one has 0 applicants. We need to keep track of our shortlisted candidates. For that, you're going to create another table in models.py that is going to contain the details for our shortlisted applicants. So in PyCharm under models.py, you're going to create a new class. So this one will be called Shortlist, and it extends models.model. The first field will be the applicant, and this one is going to be a foreign key. So models.foreign key, and this is going to refer to the applicant table. So here we put applicant, and on delete models.cascade, and the related name shortlisted_jobs. So using the related name in applicant, we can view the jobs that particular applicant has been shortlisted for. Our next field will be the job. So job will be equals to models.foreign key, and this one is going to reference the job table. So we put job, and on delete models.cascade, and the related name will be shortlist. And we also need a score. This one will be models.integer field, and finally we need a summary, and this one will be models.character field. The max length will be 1000 characters, and the string representation first underscore name. So after that, you're going to go to the terminal and create this table. So we are going to stop our server, and then here we are going to make migration. So python manage.py, make migrations, and then we'll migrate. And after that, we can restart our server. So python manage.py run server. So back in our browser, we need to make this value dynamic. So in views.py, under the home view, first you're going to import shortlist, and then in the home view, you're going to create a shortlist variable. So our shortlisted variable will be equals to j.shortlist.all, and then we're going to count, and then here we are going to pass the shortlisted variable. So shortlisted will be shortlisted. In VS Code, we are going to update that value. So in VS Code, under HR dashboard, in shortlisted, we are going to change this to be a dynamic value. So the data.shortlisted. And when you go back to the browser and refresh, you see our shortlisted candidates are updated well. The next thing is, when you click on this button, it should be directed to a page where we can view our shortlisted candidates. So for that, you're going to go to PyCharm and create a new view. And this one takes in a request, and we're also going to take in a job ID. because you're displaying the shortlist for a particular job. So our job will be equals to job.objects.get, and we want to get the job whose ID is equals to the job ID. The next one is shortlist, so short underscore list will be equals to job.shortlist and then .all, and we are going to order by the score, so .order underscore by score, and we need them in descending order, so we put an hyphen before the score. And here we are going to return render. We pass in the request app/shortlist.html. So we need to design this template. We're going to create a new HTML file called shortlist. In VS Code, we're going to open shortlist, and inside shortlist, the upper part is going to be the same as this. So we copy that and paste that here, and then this one will be shortlist. We can end this block. The first part is going to be the breadcrumb, and here inside the header tag we are going to display the job title, so job underscore title. We are also going to display the total number of shortlisted candidates. So back in PyCharm, our shortlisted total candidates will be equals to job.shortlist.all and then .count. So from here we can access shortlisted and display it. The next part is we are going to loop over the shortlist object, which is this one, and display our shortlisted candidates. So here we first check if we have shortlists, else, and then we can end if. So inside the if block, we are going to use a for loop to loop over the shortlist object. So for applicant in shortlist, and we end for. Inside here, we are going to display the applicant details, the score, summary, and we're also going to provide an option to view the CV. I have added some code here. This part is going to display the applicant first name. The other one is going to display the last name. This one is going to display the country. We also have the score, and this one is going to provide the URL to view the CV. And finally, we'll be viewing the summary of their CV here. So with that, I think we are done with designing the shortlist.html. The next thing is we are going to go to PyCharm and link this view in urls.py. So we add a path. This one will be shortlist, and this one takes in an integer of job ID, and this one points to views.shortlist. The name will be equals to shortlist. We are going to link this in VS Code. In HR dashboard, we're going to change this one to be a URL. This one points to shortlist, and we are going to provide the job ID. The job ID will be data.job and then ID. Now if we go to our browser, refresh, click on shortlist, we are redirected to the shortlist page. And for now, you see you have 0 shortlisted candidates. Here we are also going to link this one so that when we click on this, you are redirected back to the HR dashboard. So in VS Code, under shortlist.html, we're going to change this to a /, and when you go back and refresh, click on human resource, you are redirected back to the HR dashboard. The next part is shortlisting candidates using artificial intelligence. So when you click on shortlist candidates, you're going to use Meta's Llama 3 model to generate a score and a summary of the CV based on the job description. Candidates whose score is greater than 80 are going to be shortlisted and stored in the database. To shortlist candidates, we'll be using some cloud services. For this tutorial, we'll be using Grok. So your browser type Grok grok.com, and notice this one is a queue. You might have to sign up. I have already created an account with Grok. And I'm actually not affiliated to all the third-party resources that we use in this project. It's just for learning purpose. Grok is almost similar to ChatGPT or Gemini. So what you do is just type in your prompt. For example, you can use what is Python, and you can see the token generation speed is quite high. You also have the option to use different tones. You have professional, educator, friendly, neutral, and on the right hand side you can change the model. For us, you're going to use Llama 3 70 billion parameters. So I'll click on that and then try the prompt again, and we almost get a similar response. So of course we'll not be typing in our queries here, we'll be using an API. So at the bottom you can click on Grok Cloud and you'll be redirected to another page. On the right you have the option to change the model. So you're going to change this to Llama 3 70 billion parameters. You can change the temperature, max tokens, and so many other settings. In the middle you have the option to view code and submit a query. So here I'm going to ask it what is Java and submit. This is the response that we get, and you have the option to view code. So what you'll do is you're going to copy this into our editor. So I'll copy that, and in PyCharm under human resource I'm going to create a new file. So this one will be called details, and here I'm going to create a function. So this one will be called consult_AI, and we paste the code here. The next thing is we need to install Grok, and we also need an API key. So back in our browser, I'm going to close this, and in API keys I'm going to create a new key. So this one will be called YouTube tutorial, and then I'll click on submit. I'll copy the API key and click on done. In PyCharm, I'm going to paste our API key here. So grok_API_key will be equals to our API key. The next thing is we need to install Grok, and in the terminal I'm going to stop the server and type pip install Grok. And it's also not a good practice to store your API keys in your Python files. So we are going to move this to an environment variable. To do that, you first install python-env. In AI human resource, you're going to create a new file called .env. So .env. And then here we are going to copy this. So we copy the Grok key, we just cut it out and paste it here. Remove the spaces and the single quotes, and at the front we write export. Then we can close that. And then back in utils.py, we're going to bring this here, and from .env we are going to import load.env, and then we are going to load our environment variables. So here we are also going to provide the API key. To do that, you're going to use os.environ.get and then provide this name, Grok API key. We need to import os, and with that I think we can test out our API locally. I'll comment that and use an empty string. So at the bottom I'm going to call the function consult.ai, and then you're going to run this file. So I'll right click and then click on run utils, and we get some response. You can also try something different. It is C++, and then click on run utils, and you also get a different response. For our project, we need the model to generate a score and a summary given a CV and a job description. And remember, our CVs are in PDF format, so we need a way to extract text from a PDF. To do that, we need to install PyPDF. So back in our terminal, we're going to type pip install PyPDF. Once installed, we are going to import PDF reader from PyPDF. So from PyPDF, import PDF reader. And before consult AI, you are going to create a function to extract text from PDF files. This one is going to take in a PDF underscore path, and our PDF underscore reader will be equals to PDF reader, and provide the PDF path. Our text will be an empty string. Here we use a for loop for page in PDF reader pages. We're going to use text plus and assign page extract text, and then finally we are going to return text. So we can test this function using some of the CVs that you have uploaded. At the bottom, I'm going to comment this out, and here we are going to use get text. Our PDF path will be equals to, so currently we are in utils, which is under human resource, so you need to backtrack to AI human resource. So this one will be two leading dots, then slash media slash CVs, and then we want Barry's CV, so use that one, and we can run this file. I think we need to print out the text, so print the value that is returned from get text, and we see we get the details inside Barry's CV. So our get text function is working well. The next thing is we need to extract the qualifications and responsibilities for a given job description. So here we are going to create another function, and this one takes in a given job and CV underscore path. So here our resume will be equals to get text, and the PDF path will be equals to the CV underscore path. Responsibilities will be equals to job dot responsibilities, and then you're going to split at the new line character, and we need to return a string for this one, so we are going to use the join function. And the next thing is we need the qualifications, so qualifications, and then this function is going to return a dictionary of data. So our data will be equals to a dictionary, the resume will be resume, and responsibilities will be responsibilities, and finally qualifications will be qualifications. So you're going to feed this data into our model and ask it to generate a score and a summary based on the responsibilities and the qualifications. So under consort AI, our data will be equals to get data, and here we need to provide some parameters. So we need a job and a CV underscore path, and here our job will be equals to job, and CV path will be equals to CV path. And then for this part, you're going to use some prompt engineering. So you're going to change this to an F string. So this will be our final prompt. You are an experienced HR assistant. We are shortlisting candidates for a job in the company. Given a resume, job responsibilities, and required qualifications, you are supposed to rate that resume in a scale of 0 to 100%, where 0 is the lowest score and 100 is the highest score. And then we provide the resume, we provide the responsibilities, the qualifications, and finally we ask the model to return their response in form of a Python dictionary. And then at the bottom, we are going to make some little modifications. Our data will be equals to an empty string, and inside the for loop, we are going to use a try block. So our data is going to be concatenated to the response, and we can get rid of this and accept exemption as a. We are going to pass, and we are going to return data. So return data. So now I think we can try testing this in our project. In views.py, we're going to create a new view called shortlist candidates, and this one takes in a request and a job underscore ID. And here you are going to use a try block. The next thing is we are going to try and create a shortlist for this particular job. So here you are going to use a try block, and before you create a new shortlist of applicants, you are going to delete any previous created shortlist for that particular job. So you're going to use shortlist.objects.filter, and then you're going to filter for this particular job. So our job is equals to job ID, and you're going to delete any previous shortlist for that particular job. So we need to import shortlist. After that, we need all the applicants. So our applicants will be equals to job.applicants.all, and then you're going to loop over all the applicants. So for applicant in applicants, you're going to get a response will be equals to consult AI. So we need to import consult AI from utils, from .utils import consult AI. Consult AI takes in a job and a CV path. So our job will be equals to job, and the CV path will be equals to applicant.cv. And for now, you can try printing out the response. And we need an except block, except exemption as a. We're going to print the exemption and use messages.warning, passing the request, and the message is unable to shortlist candidates. And finally, we're going to return redirect shortlists, and we also need to provide a job ID for this because shortlist takes in a job ID. So we provide the job ID as job ID. I think we can test this, but before we do that, we need to add the URL for this one in urls.py. So under urls.py, create a new path, and this one points to views.shortlist candidates, and the name for this one is shortlist candidates. So in VS Code, under shortlist, you have this anchor tag. We're going to replace this with a URL, shortlist candidates, and we provide the job ID. And with this, I think we are done with that part. In our browser, you're going to refresh and then click on shortlist candidates. And back in the terminal, you see you get a response. The first one is for Alfred, his score is 95. And the other one was for Barry, he has a score of 20. So currently the responses from the API are in form of a string. So you're going to convert this into a Python dictionary using JSON. So at the top, you need to import JSON. So import JSON, and our response will be equals to JSON.loads. You can print out the response, and you can also print out the type of the response. So print type response. And if we go back to the browser, refresh, and then click on shortlist candidates, see you're unable to shortlist candidates. Okay, so this might be an issue with the string formatting in JSON. So in utils, I think we are going to do some formatting previously we were getting the responses in form of a string with a single quotation mark. So we are going to replace this with double quotation marks. So here our data will be equals to data.replace. So you're going to replace the single quotes with double quotes. And after this, we need some changes in our prompt. So here we are going to tell the model to return dictionary output only. After that, you're going to go back to the browser, refresh, then click on shortlist candidates. And back in PyCharm, get better responses. So the first one is for Alfred. He has a score of 95, and you can see the type for the response is a dictionary. The next thing is you're going to shortlist our candidates. The candidates who are going to be added to the shortlist table are the ones with a score of 80 and above. So here you're going to replace this with an if. So if response, and the key is score. So if response score is greater than or equal to 80, you're going to create a shortlist. So new underscore shortlist will be equals to shortlist dot objects dot create, and we provide the job as the job, the applicant as applicant, and the score will be equals to response, get the score, and finally we need a summary. So our summary will be equals to response, and the key for summary is summary. So you're going to use summary, and after that you're going to save these details. So new shortlist.save. And with this, I think you're done with the functionality to shortlist candidates. So back in our browser, you're going to refresh and click on shortlist candidates. We get one shortlisted candidate. I think his details also need to be displayed here. So in VS Code under shortlist, we have if shortlist, if for applicant in shortlist. So back in PyCharm, we have the shortlist view. So we return a shortlist with an underscore. So in VS Code, we should change this to short underscore list and short underscore list. Back in the browser, if we refresh, we see Alfred's details displayed here. And you can also click on view CV, and we get an option to view his CV. At this point, I think we are done with most of the functionalities, so we are going to go ahead and do some final testing. So for front-end engineer, we are going to submit some 2 applications. So under careers, we need a front-end engineer. So click on apply, and here you are going to use one of these CVs. You're going to use this one. So Barry is a front-end developer. You're going to choose his CV from here. So this is Barry's CV, and then click on open, apply, and we get the success page. You're also going to submit one more application for the front-end engineer. You're going to use this CV. So this one is a machine learning engineer. This CV, click on that and then apply. So back in the HR dashboard, we get 2 applicants and you have 0 shortlisted candidates. So now if we click on edit job, click on expired, and then edit job, go back to the careers page, you see that the front-end engineer role application window is now closed. So back in the HR dashboard, you're going to click on shortlisted and then click on shortlist candidates. You see you get one shortlisted applicant, who is Barry, and we also have the option to view his CV. So Barry is a front-end developer, which is a good fit for a front-end engineer. And one more thing, we need to fix this. We should display the location of Barry here. So back in shortlist.html, we are going to change this from country to location. So now if you go back and refresh, you see you get the location displayed here. And back in human resource, you see you have one shortlisted candidate for this role. Here I think we need to format this to 2 decimal places. So back in PyCharm under views.py, in the home view, we are going to change this to be an F string, and we are going to format it to 2 decimal places. We'll also do the same thing to the lower bound. So put that F string and we format this to 2 decimal places. So now if we go back to the browser and refresh, see they are formatted in a better way. At this point, I think we are done with most of the functionalities, but of course you might have overlooked some things like user authentication. We need access control of the people who can access the HR dashboard. We also need access control for the people who can shortlist candidates and so on. So I would encourage you to do research and figure out how you can implement access control on some of those features. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.